Well, welcome back to another episode of Driven by Cause. This episode is brought to you by Ariba, the thought leaders behind the industry's only completely integrated and fully automated all-in-one digital fundraising, donor relationship management database, healthcare hospitality, and auction software in one unified database. I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Jay. Jay, how you doing today?
David, I'm doing great, and I am so excited about our guest today. We have really got a great one.
Jay, I got to be honest with you. You are so right on. And I think our audience today is going to absolutely love this. This is going to be a great episode because we have an amazing guest who I've really enjoyed getting to know. Actually, Ariba is partnered with his company. We'll talk more about that. But Patrick Kirby has spent nearly 2 decades working as a fundraiser in the nonprofit industry for organizations of all shapes and sizes, most notably as the Senior Director of Development at the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation and the Chief Development Officer at the Ann Carlson Center. He's the founder of Do Good Better Consulting and the author of the Amazon's bestseller, Fundraise Awesomer, a practical guide for staying sane while doing good. Patrick has also recently released his newest book, Fundraise Like a Fifth Grader. He is also the host of the official Do Good Better podcast and a believer in that we always done it this way is the most dangerous phrase in the English language. Hey, thank you for being here, Patrick, today.
Gentlemen, I could not be happier to be here. I am ecstatic, not only for the partnership, but just for the conversation. I know that we always try to get in front of nonprofits and give them a couple of ideas and things to kind of just, sort of ruminate on or kind of give them a different perspective. Love to motivate them to do one new cool thing today, get them out there to build better relationships with the donors. And I think this will do it. Stoked. Thanks for having me.
Well, Patrick, like I said earlier, we're so happy you could be here with us today. So, Patrick, let's just get started. Can you share with our listeners some information about yourself, just so they can get to know you and how you got started in the nonprofit industry?
Yeah, sure. So I graduated from college with a politics degree, which meant I was unemployed immediately after graduation. That's kind of how that works. They don't tell you that, but that's how it works. So I took the first job available, which was my old high school doing fundraising and alumni stuff. And then I ran for office because I had a politics degree. Why wouldn't you run for office, right? So I ran for the legislature in the suburbs of Minneapolis, and I got whipped. I mean, I just got destroyed by like an 8-time incumbent, but I raised more money than I was legally allowed to spend in a state race. So I said, I must suck at politics, but I'm a pretty good fundraiser. And I've just been doing that for about 20 years. And during my tenure as my last like big kid job, I got to mentor small, medium-sized nonprofits. And there were moments where I was talking to somebody who was a solo shop, who was a volunteer, didn't even get paid for the organization, but they had a passion for what they did. And I would talk to them about simplicity and keeping your message on track and staying, aggressive while picking up the phone and doing all these amazing things. And there was a light bulb moment that would happen in every one of those conversations. It was the most addicting thing that I have ever had, which is like, oh my God, these people understand how to do fundraising now. How can I do that for a living? And I just made up a job. I made up Do Good Better Consulting, and I now do that. So I've been here working with the small, medium-sized nonprofits, helping them fundraise a little bit more effectively and more awesomely for about 8 years. And it's been kind of one of the most amazing journeys that I've ever had. And I wake up every day stoked to meet brand new individuals, new missions on people who are just making their community better and doing awesome things.
Love it, Matt. The title of your new book, Fundraise Like a Fifth Grader, reminds me of the old TV show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Yes.
So I'm sure that was in the back of your brain when you came up with that title. Mm-hmm. What was the inspiration behind writing a book that has to do with a mindset of fundraising like a fifth grader? Tell us a little bit about that.
So a couple years ago, I wrote a blog about it just because I watched my kids have to do a baseball fundraiser, and I just kind of put it aside. I go, that'll make a good book one day. And then earlier in the beginning of this year, when my kids started going to school, they had to do a fundraiser for their school. And instead of selling pizzas or butter braids, they actually went door to door for their walkathon. They just had to knock on doors. They had a manila envelope in one hand, hopes and dreams of raising the most amount of money for their class in the other. And they just went door to door. In 20 minutes, my youngest, had like $200. And she ended up being like the number one fundraiser in her class in second grade and got to put a pie in the face of her principal. So she's like the addicted to fundraising already. But I got to thinking about it. I'm like, well, and my middle child's in fifth grade and he had to do the same thing. And they were excited about it. They were fearless about knocking on people's doors. They wanted to do it as a class. So they had this team player mentality. They were creative. They were enthusiastic. And it got me to thinking, I'm like, as a fundraiser and as an adult, we have sort of shed those qualities that kids had because either someone said we were too much, too loud, dreaming too big, that kind of stuff. And I don't think it makes us better fundraisers. And so I wrote the book looking at the traits that my kids have had. Like, I'm a dad and I'm a fundraiser. It's the only two good things I think I could really do really well on a fairly regular basis. And I wrote a book about that. So I get to tell really fun stories about my kids interacting with the world and how we as adults can kind of look at that and go, well, how does that make us a better relationship builder? How does it make us a more fearless fundraiser, a more enthusiastic fundraiser? And that's kind of the impetus of the book. And it's been a blast talking about it. Also, it helps that my adorable 10-year-old is on the cover. It never helps to try to sell and move a book. And then to involve them in the process of just like, hey, we're writing a book together. We get to do book signings together and really talk to him about what he loves and what he's passionate about and how to translate that into the nonprofit world.
Yeah. What a great way to bring somebody young into.
Can I insert something here real quick, David? I know we can even edit this out, but I got to tell you, Patrick, I raised 5 kids living on a golf course. And my young girls, when they were like in 5th and 3rd grade, wanted to sell chocolate chip cookies during the member guest tournament out the back of our yard. So they put a table out there, they put a couple chairs out there, they made a bunch of chocolate chip cookies, and they put a sign up there, chocolate chip cookies, 3 for $1, right?
Perfect.
So after the morning round, I went out and said, how much you made? And they'd made about $7. Mm-hmm. And I said, let me have your sign. So I took the sign, took the magic marker, crossed out the 3 for $1, and I wrote in free cookies. And I put it back out there. And at the end of the day, they had made $94 because the golfers didn't want to buy cookies, but they were more than happy to donate money to these cute little girls that were out there giving away free cookies.
Yeah,
and it was a very big lesson for them. And it reminded me of that when you said fundraise like a 5th grader. That popped into my brain. So
I love that. That's the best story ever. And again, you're telling your kids how to interact with individuals, which I think is such an important lesson right out of the gate. And again, we forget that as adults. It's okay to interact with. It's okay to say hi. It's okay to be personable. You don't have to sit behind your computer all day and just do emails. You can go out and meet somebody new and have something face to face. And what a great lesson. That's awesome. Great story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, all good. I actually love it too, Jay. And it really just brings up a different point because I think it's great what you're doing, Patrick, even bringing your children into this world of nonprofit, understanding it, because doing it the way that you're doing it, it feels good. It's not like a chore. It's not like doing homework.
Yeah.
But continuing on your book, I just like to add a few other things. You constantly make a point that, and we hear it, simplifying fundraising is the key to success. I mean, to Jay's point earlier, make it simple, make it resonate with the audience. In what ways does complexity hinder fundraising efforts from your perspective and what you've learned in the book? And how specifically does your approach address this?
Yeah, I think we complicate it just because we think we have to, right? There are so many options. There are so many things. There are so many programs. There's so many things to listen to, things to watch, things to learn, et cetera. And if you're doing everything, if you're trying to do everything, you're doing the things that you're really good at not as well because you're stretched, you're thin. You're trying to be on every single platform on social media. You're trying to do TikTok as well as LinkedIn as well as Facebook. And you maybe shouldn't do that, right? You're trying to do 12 different appeals. You're trying to do different events and different themes every single year. So you're making it harder on yourself. The same way where my kids were like, I just want to play this one game and I want to get really good at Fortnite. So I'm going to continuously play Fortnite all the time. They're going to get really, really, really good at it. There's an old Japanese sort of proverb when sort of referencing to, do the thing that you are really passionate about and always do it and get perfect at that. Always try to strive and achieve for perfection in that. And whether that's a great storyteller, whether that's a great sort of the program or service that you do, like hone in on the one thing that makes your organization better than everyone else's, even if you've got competitive sort of organizations in there, do the best there. And you can tell better stories from it. You can fundraise for it. You can explain it better to potential funders as well. But I think we are spreading ourselves too thin by doing so much that's where the complication comes in.
Okay. Can you give us an example of a seemingly simple fundraising tactic that has consistently yielded great results?
Oh, that's such a good question. Yes. Here it is. I'll give you one. Pick up the damn phone. No one does it anymore. I don't know what it is about it, but nobody's picking up the phone. And if you are picking up the phone, it's usually just like ask for money, right? There's no curiosity. I talk about this in the book too, where like kids are inherently curious, right? You have kids, Jay. You get 5 of them. How many questions did you get asked while they're sitting around the house? And how many times have they asked the question why to a thing that you seemingly like this is the answer? Why? What is the answer? Why? And they just keep going. And they're just inherently curious. I think as fundraisers, if we pick up the phone and we're just asking questions, just checking in, seeing how they're doing, I think it's such a powerful tool that we've forgotten because they're supercomputers. They're for TikTok. They're for entertainment. You can write an email from it, but that you can tell people's tone and you can really express your gratitude with your voice by just seemingly using the thing that we had invented 150 years ago that we've almost forgotten about how simple of a tool that is. And it works every single time. And even if you're leaving a message, by the way, if you leave a message of gratitude, it has the same serotonin levels that it creates in somebody who's listening to it as you would if you were on the phone with each other. So pick up the phone.
Love it. Love it.
Patrick, I actually love that you say that because it's something that we do every day in speaking to the nonprofit industry. And technology should really be your friend.
Yeah.
And notifying you that Patrick just gave a donation or Patrick just an event immediately, whether it goes to your phone or your computer.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, even if they're getting an automatic thank you acknowledgement receipt, which I know our system does things and many others do.
Right.
But what we're sharing with the audience is best practices. And that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad you're saying it because we preach that every day of pick up the phone and just say thank you. And if you can do that within a 48-hour period of acknowledgement, it resonates with so many positive things that go beyond that. And that's a whole hour of conversation, but I love the fact
absolutely it is. Yeah.
Hit it on that. Yeah. But looking ahead, how do you foresee simplicity? I love simplicity, right? Mm-hmm. Clarity shaping the future of fundraising amid all of these emerging technologies and new donor behaviors.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I think the more technologically advanced we are that allow us the free time to do the things that we're really good at, which is face-to-face interactions and personal relationships. So you have this technology. Again, Riva's got this in hand over fist, which is like automated receipts and updates and reminders that you as the fundraiser need to do this, this, and this. Well, that's all fine and good. But unless you use that technology to open and free yourself up to building better relationships with your donors, then you are not using it to the best of its ability, right? The technology that even you're producing allows you to be more personal. And I think as we get down the line and AI becomes more prevalent in every one of the systems that we have and in life in general, it's going to sound eerily similar. And you know what's not? The personalized, hyper-personalized connections, whether it's on the phone, whether it's having a cup of coffee. And I think your soft skills, the soft skills that we talked about for decades, are going to become your hard skills because the technology like Ariva would have allows you to sit down, have a conversation, ask about how their vacation was, ask how their kids are doing, ask how their grandparents are doing, ask how their business is doing, and be curious, again, going back to that theme, but doing it face to face. I think people are going to crave personal interaction, and technology is going to allow us more time to do that.
Your book provides simple, yet some unconventional strategies for fundraisers.
Yeah.
Would you share with us some unconventional trends that nonprofits should embrace to stay relevant and impactful? Something they can use over the next 5 years.
Yeah. If you're a nonprofit leader, I think one of the more unconventional things is not being, almost having this idea that you're going to be okay if you invest in your people. It's been this like mentality I think nonprofits have is contracting, right? So the economy is a little questionable. I need to contract back. I think the unconventional thing is to double down on the people and the programs and the technology that you have so that you can get in front of more people regularly. And the conventional side is let's retreat back to what we always did, the way that we've always done it. That's the conventional way. The unconventional way is to say, nope, we're going to buck trends and we're going to invest in our people. We're going to go train them harder. We're going to get better technology. We're going to get better systems in place so that when everything kicks back up or the how the waves go, it's up, down market. When the wave hits up again, you're ready and prepped rather than scrambling on the back end. So my unconventional take has always been when everybody's retreating, you just got to dive ahead. You're the only one. You're the leader. You're the one that people are chasing. And then you could be the trendsetters and people see you out front. I think honestly, that's might be the most interesting way to address some of that.
That's great.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk a lot about that too, but as we've spoken a lot about the recent book, but you're also the founder and CEO of Do Good Better Consulting, which is really a really phenomenal consulting firm. And I'm really glad we're partners with you.
Yeah.
What's one of the piece of advice you found yourself repeatedly giving to nonprofit leaders, regardless of their organization size or resources?
I think the one that I give the most, because I'm kind of obsessed with making sure your donors come back, right? So I would say the most important piece that I have given over the last 3 months on a regular basis, probably once, twice a day, go back to your biggest cheerleaders and make sure that they know how much you appreciate them and how much impact their gifts have made. That's it. So I think as people are looking at their own finances, they are going to maybe contract. It's kind of trending, and you've seen this too with some of the reporting that you've done out, which has been a really wonderful to kind of read through, which is it's fewer donors, and the big donors are contracting to the number of gifts or number of organizations they are giving to, right? They still want to give, they still want to be generous, but they are not going to do it willy-nilly. They're going to find the ones they're the most aligned with. So unless you are ahead of the game and saying, hey, listen, David, I just want to let you know that your $100 that you gave 30 days ago has already done this in our organization. I just wanted to say thanks. Hey, Jay, over the last 60 days, your gift has allowed us to feed this many individuals in the community, and we would not have been able to do that without you. And not chasing brand new people who have no idea what you are, but keeping the ones that love you most because they are going to be your biggest cheerleaders and they're going to open the doors for more individuals who are like-minded like them. And that's my piece of advice. You go back to your group who has given you the most amount of money and talent and treasure and time and consistent support, and make sure that they know how valued they are to keep them coming back.
Yeah, that's
and I love the idea that you're tying their donation to a specific result. You're tying what they give to the mission.
Yes.
And I absolutely love that. And I emphasize that as well in the auction world. So
yeah.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about your work.
Mm-hmm.
Got to know a little bit about your philosophy, helping nonprofits. What's something that our audience might find curious to know about you as an individual? Something they might find surprising about you?
I'm really into Swedish thrash metal as music. I don't know what it is about, like maybe my anything that you can't understand the words coming out and the music is so loud and like disturbingly loud, I find completely calming. I don't know what it is. It's clearly some sort of undiagnosed adult ADHD that I have, but I find that to be like the most amazing music that I get to listen to. And it, again, if you have in the car and you'll hear me like, you just kind of like shaking your head not up and down, it's usually to something that has a million guitars and is loud screaming music. And it's just a very weird personality thing that I have. It's weird.
At first, I thought you said Swedish.
Yeah, specifically Swedish. I don't know what it is about the Swedish death metal scene. It's
but
great.
that's still because I'm thinking ABBA.
Yep. So imagine ABBA and death metal combined.
That's a tough visual.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, I want to text you something. Send me a song that you would recommend, because I'd love to listen to what you're listening to and give you my thoughts on this. But we always like to finish a show by asking one question. What is something that we didn't ask you today that you wish we had?
One of the favorite questions that I love getting that I didn't get today was, what books are you reading? Because I find you can learn a lot about a human being by what they're reading. And usually when I get asked that question, they're expecting like, oh, a book about, from Joan Gary or some sort of fundraising manual. I don't. I read pure high fantasy with like dwarves and elves and dragons and magic. Specifically, anything by Tolkien, I will read. Oh, I will overread Lord of the Rings. Like it's just it. And the reason I do, and I've done this for forever, is that Tolkien and George R. R. Martin and Patrick Rothfuss, all these really high fantasy writers are world builders. They write these unbelievably 1,200-page books that are made up worlds. And I find as a fundraiser and a storyteller, learning from world builders and just someone who takes something from nothing and creates this brand new world that doesn't exist in reality, but makes it so realistic, you can learn so much about telling your own story, about your own mission, and getting it to resonate with people, and train from the best storytellers around. Read the nerdy books, and it's okay to put down the old marketing 101 book and get into The Hobbit and just figure out how they told a better story than you are. And I think you're going to be golden.
I love it, Patrick. That was great. Well, with that, we'll be right back after this.
We are a team that has had an enduring influence on the nonprofit industry for more than 3 decades. We pride ourselves on developing and delivering technology with a purpose, software born of a genuine understanding and passion for cause. We are relentlessly dedicated to our client success. We are with our clients for good. We are Ariva, tech with purpose, driven by cause. Ariva is the trusted advisor and market leader of fundraising, donor relationship management, and auction software and services. Exceed further, our evolutionary all-in-one digital fundraising and donor relationship management software is helping nonprofits worldwide further their mission, transform fundraising, and cultivate relationships with donors and constituents. Our Maestro Auction virtual, live, and silent auction software, text-to-bid, virtual and mobile bidding software, and text-to-fund, text-based donation software are helping nonprofits raise billions of dollars through thousands of virtual fundraising events, charity auctions, and galas. Visit Ariva.com and reach out today and see how Ariva can help your nonprofit organization go further.
Welcome back, everybody. All right, we're going to go into our next segment, Ask the Maestro. Jay, what question do you have from our audience today?
Well, David, we've got an interesting question today. It comes from Charisse, and I actually want Patrick to answer this one rather than you and me. So, the question, Patrick, from Charisse is: do you have any tips for a small 1 or 2 person development team to be efficient in a $15 million nonprofit? And also, any tips for team members who do several jobs within their organization, like marketing, communications, development, volunteer coordination, et cetera. So how do you take that 1 or 2 person team, $15 million, and they several different jobs they got to wear and a lot of volunteers, and go for it?
Well, first of all, Shreese, thanks for the question. And I want to first by saying you're not alone. Everyone who's listening to this podcast, everyone who's been in a small or medium-sized shop understands that every one of you wear 10,000 different hats every single day, and it changes within the hour. Like, that is just a thing. Deep breath. Everyone's on your team. You're not alone. Number 1. Number 2, and I wrote about this very early on, first book even, that I talked about, which is compartmentalize your time just to make sure that you can get the most important thing done. So I've always used this framework of Mondays are for planning, Tuesdays are for doing, Wednesdays are for documenting, Thursdays are for celebrating, and Fridays are for appreciating. And if you can do that when you are honing in on your donors, I think it matters, right? So on Monday, what is the most important thing that you have to accomplish by the end of the week? That's your mission. Plan for that. Tuesday is the most productive day of the week. I can't scientifically prove that, but I feel like once you get through your email box on Monday, you can actually get something done. Do it. Make an ask. Build a sponsorship kit. Do something that you had planned on to kind of move the needle forward. Wednesday, you had a bunch of amazing meetings. Document it. Make sure you get that information in your system. And if the system isn't Ariva, you should go get it, but put it in the system, right? So make sure that you have these amazing conversations you don't forget, so you can apply the conversation you had the next time. Thursdays for celebrating. Take 20 minutes and appreciate what you have done and build on your success. If you forget why you are there and why you are doing the hard work, it is nearly impossible not to get burnt out. But if you let your donors know what a thing that you accomplished together, they want to know what your wins are. They want to give to a winning team. Show them. And then finally, and we talked about this too, David, and we could tend to spend 5 hours talking about it, is spend Friday showing gratitude to your cheerleaders, your supporters, your donors, your teammates, other organizations. Leave the end of the week with gratitude, and you will rebuild your entire perspective over the weekend. You're going to come in a lot more organized, a lot more refreshed, because you planned on something, you executed it, you documented it, you celebrated the win that you had on Tuesday or Wednesday. You said thank you on Friday, and by the time you go around on Monday to make a phone call, to make a meeting with a donor that you just sent a thank you card to, they're more likely to pick up the phone because they got this authentic letter, this authentic note. So don't do everything. Just take 20 minutes or 40 minutes a day doing planning and doing and documenting and celebrating and appreciating. And I feel like you're going to feel a little bit more refreshed because you can do all the things that the 10,000 hats that you can wear.
Well, that was an amazing answer. And I hope the people listening to this podcast rewind and listen to that over and over again, because that was all-star right there. David, do you have anything you might want to contribute to that?
Yeah, no, you know what? You actually said it all in so many different levels. I also think if they have the right technology, and I'm not here to promote a technology here, it actually will allow them to do a lot of those jobs that they're doing. And what you said earlier about retention of your existing customers by acknowledgement, and having technology that's going to allow them to communicate between marketing, development, volunteering, how they're communicating out there, and having things together within one place is a very important factor that will help expedite those small of one or two people within a $15 million nonprofit. Because like you said, it is not easy. And we hear this every single day. And at the end of the day, it does affect increasing about their donors. It does affect their acknowledgement of their people, and it does affect their retention of their current constituents. So that was really amazing. Thank you, Jay.
And I'll put my 2 cents worth in, and that is that don't reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of experts out there that you can lean on. There's a lot of technology you can lean on. You're not the first person that's encountered that situation at your nonprofit. So before you waste a lot of cycles trying to figure out an answer, reach out. Maybe someone already has that answer for you, and that'll free you up with more time to do all the great things Patrick suggested. So great.
Such good advice.
And if you have a question that you'd like the maestro to answer in a future episode, let us know. And you never know, you might just hear it right here in a future episode of our Driven by Cause podcast.
Thanks, Jay. And Patrick, thanks. That all of this has been really fantastic. It was really, Patrick, having a pleasure having you here today. It was such a treat. And I really mean it. It was really such a treat. I love your energy, your passion, and your knowledge. And thank you so much for all of your insight and advice to our listeners. It was really just amazing.
Both of you are rock stars. This was a blast. I've had nothing but fun chatting with you over the last number of months, and I can't wait to do it again. Let's do it again sooner than later. Appreciate both you and Jay for having me on.
Thanks, Patrick. Been a pleasure.
And I'd just like to finish it with, I want to thank all of our listeners for joining us today. Make sure you subscribe to Driven by Cause. And while you're at it, leave us a 5-star rating. I also want to give a thank you to our amazing sponsor, Arriva. Thank you to all our fantastic listeners. We hope you'll join us next time on Driven by Cause, and just make it a great day. Thank you.